Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Victoria police detain a woman after a one-vehicle crash Tuesday night. One person dead after being involved in a truck crash in Refugio County. And Texas loses in court over the border barrier in the Rio Grande.
We're going to be talking about our triple-digit heat, but also we need to start talking about Hurricane Lee. Lee's going to be a major league problem on the East Coast. We're going to be watching it very carefully over the next 7 days. We'll have all that coming up.
And a football team that beat a former back-to-back state champion is focusing on the next game. That and more in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. Around 10:30 Tuesday night, Victoria police were in the 2500 block of North Laurent for a vehicle crash. Police say a car hit an electrical pole and a building. 3 people ran off. A short time later, officers detained a 22-year-old woman, Kayla Cantu, charged with DWI, evading arrest and detention, and for having a controlled substance. Police have not found the other 2 people who escaped. A Sinton man died after being involved in a truck crash in Refugio County. The Refugio County Press reports 41-year-old Justin Curry was traveling west on FM 774 at about 12:40 p.m. Tuesday when the truck that was towing a flatbed trailer left the roadway and rolled over. DPS investigating the crash. One person transported to the hospital Tuesday morning after a truck tractor towing a trailer veered off U.S. Highway 77 in Woodsboro. The Refugio County Press reports the driver of the truck, 24-year-old Harjot Singh of Ontario, Canada, said a bug flew in the cab of the truck and into one of his eyes, causing the vehicle to leave its lane and strike the guardrail before traveling into the grass and crashing through a fence. 32-year-old Amtaj Singh was asleep in the vehicle. He suffered serious injuries in the crash. Suspended Attorney General Ken Paxton did not show up to the second half of his impeachment trial in the state capitol Wednesday. The Texas Tribune reports Jeff Mateer, the former second in command under Ken Paxton, testified Wednesday that Paxton's relationship with real estate investor Nate Paul was so alarming that Mateer was concerned the Attorney General was being blackmailed. Paxton's lead attorney, Tony Busby, brought up George P. Bush's law license reactivation as he tries to paint the impeachment as a political witch hunt. Now, the public lined up Tuesday to witness the impeachment trial for Paxton. Tickets for the trial were given on a first-come, first-served basis. On the opening day of the trial, there was quite a crowd.
This historic day in Texas politics brought out dozens of people to the state capitol.
I think it's important to watch the proceedings of important political things here in Texas.
I believe that this process, this impeachment process, has been against the law and against our Constitution.
Tickets were distributed to the public on day 1 of the impeachment trial for Attorney General Ken Paxton. Paxton supporters filled the lines in the morning and afternoon.
We knew all about the problems they've talked about before we voted for him, so it's just ridiculous.
Ken Paxton is suing Google for $1 billion because they have stolen information from Texans, and Google is behind all of this.
In the crowd, there were some people with differing views, including Arwen Heilerain.
I think that he has committed a lot of crimes, and I think that I trust the legal systems of our state to do what they need to do to take care of that.
Not everyone is here to voice their support or criticism. Sam and her mother, Jonna, are hoping to experience the historic trial through a different lens.
I just recently figured out that I want to go into law, so I'm just here to see how the process works.
Well, this is a great opportunity because this does not happen all the time, obviously, and just to see what kind of process this is really cool.
You can watch the Texas Senate impeachment trial of Ken Paxton live on crossroadstoday.com. That's under news. A federal judge on Wednesday ordered Texas to move a large floating barrier to the bank of the Rio Grande. Governor Greg Abbott announced he will appeal the decision by U.S. District Judge David Ezra. The judge said the state must move the barrier by September 15th. The buoys deployed in July near Eagle Pass brought a legal challenge from the U.S. Justice Department, which accused Texas of putting a barrier on the international boundary without permission. And now let's take a first look at your forecast. Here's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. We just got this word from ERCOT. They are requesting electric conservation tonight from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. because they are showing a potential for low reserves, continued high temperatures, high demand, low wind, and obviously declining solar power generation because the sun is going down. Any surprise to you, Mac?
No, all of these things are coming to pass, or apparently also have some power generation that's offline for some sort of repairs. So we're right at about our demand versus our supply is right about there. So we do need to be cautious. Otherwise, all of us are going to be dealing with power outages. Another hot day for us. We know that, but you know what? Hot day across the entire state of Texas with the humidity on the rise. There's some hope for next week, and we'll be talking about that coming up in a moment. Don, back to you.
Mac, thank you. 2 men killed in a small plane crash at a Houston area airport today. The crash happened on the south end runway at the Huntsville Municipal Airport shortly after noon. Investigators said a single-engine Cessna 150 crashed while the pilot was practicing landings and takeoffs. The victims' identities not yet been released. According to officials, they were the only 2 people on the plane. The Victoria Fire Department Station 1 at 606 East Goodwin Avenue reopened Wednesday morning. Station 1 had not had major remodeling during its 40-year lifespan. In addition, the roof still had leaks and damage from Hurricane Harvey and previous storms. Fire Station 1 now has a backup generator, structural support capable of withstanding a Category 3 hurricane, and individual sleeping quarters. A fire destroyed a home in Moulton Labor Day weekend. Lavaca County Today reports Moulton police officer Greg Prosick and a Good Samaritan climbed up to the 2nd floor of the house and rescued Jenna Perry, who was trapped by the flames. Authorities said the woman did not suffer any burns or other serious injuries. The fire's cause remains under investigation. A suspect in custody after the shooting of a San Antonio police officer Tuesday. KSAT reports 29-year-old Dominic Rubio faces 3 charges. His bonds total more than $1 million. Authorities say Rubio was wanted on 2 felony warrants when an officer spotted him. The officer approached Rubio, who took out a shotgun and shot the officer in the arm and torso. The officer, who has not been named, was transported to the hospital in stable condition. A Yoakum resident claimed a top prize winning ticket worth $1 million in the Texas Lottery Scratch Ticket Game Cash Blowout. The ticket was bought there at the Circle R Drive-In, 8945 FM 1593 in Lolita. The claimant elected to remain anonymous. The manager of the store, Lena Garza, told us the winning ticket was sold there at about 8 o'clock last Thursday morning. She said the biggest winning ticket sold there before this one was a $50,000 scratch-off ticket last December. Texas Lottery officials told us that stores like the Circle R Drive-In do not get a bonus for selling a winning scratch ticket, only for selling winning Powerball or Mega Millions tickets. Oh, darn. They were looking forward to that bonus. Anyway, here's your viewer poll. Scan the QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Do you actively play Texas lottery games? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 19% say yes. 81% of our voters say no. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you, and we'll show you what you and your neighbors are saying on 25 News Now at 10. Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The Calhoun County ISD Board of Trustees approves its next fiscal year budget and tax rate after holding a public hearing on August 28th. Dr. Marcelina Rupley is returning to Port Lavaca to work at the Memorial Medical Center. And after 20 years, and a Port O'Connor elementary teacher named Texas Education Agency's Region 3 Teacher of the Year. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see us, Crossroads Today, on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, gas prices rising even after the Labor Day weekend. Also ahead, 1/5 of Americans say one thing will make it more difficult to live in that area. Felt the pinch at the pumps this Labor Day weekend as gas prices neared historic highs for the travel period. Analysts say it may not be a quick fall this fall for prices.
With summer road trips in the rearview mirror, this is typically the time of year when gas prices start to retreat.
Fall is generally a time of year where most motorists will see falling gasoline prices. A lot of that has to do with the fact that now with summer over, demand for gasoline declines, and that should lead to price improvement.
Fall also brings winter gasoline to the pumps, a blend that makes it easier to start cars in cold temperatures that's also cheaper to produce and can send prices 10 to 30 cents lower per gallon. But this September, Patrick DeHaan of Gas Buddy says there are things to watch here at home.
Our hurricane season that is in its prime, certainly a very active one, so we'll have to keep an eye out for any threats. Keeping in mind that much of the nation's refining capacity is in the Texas and Louisiana area of the Gulf. Hurricanes can disrupt the flow of refined products.
And factors abroad, like the pressure on global oil prices as the world's biggest exporters of crude oil extend production cuts to boost their revenues.
Expectations are now that the Saudis and Russians are cutting oil production for the next several months.
The good news, gas prices are still well below their peak in June 2022, when the national average for a gallon of regular gas topped $5 per gallon. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
AAA Texas reports the average gas price in Victoria is $3.31 a gallon. That is up 17 cents a gallon in 1 month. Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Cuero Record. The 24th Judicial District Court will be moved from DeWitt County to Goliad County. And former U.S. Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison will speak in Cuero September 13th. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. In a recent poll, 1/5 of Americans think climate change will make it more difficult to live in their area. For people living out west where there are wildfires, drought, and torrential rains, that goes up to 30%. The Midwest, which has had less extreme weather events this year, shows the number drops to 13%. In general, nearly 40% of respondents say climate change is negatively affecting their everyday life. On the other hand, about 20% don't know if climate change is actually happening. Usually a drought is not good for agriculture, but for one important seasonal crop, a lack of water may have actually helped production.
All's quiet on this New Prague farm, but not for long.
And nature tells him to grow upside down so he doesn't hold water here.
Fran Barton,
I can kind of tell this one will end up being a white one,
and her son Joe are feeling out the harvest. And
what's your emotion as you look right now?
Oh, sheer surprise and joy, and I don't even know if I can express it.
For a while, though, things were looking bleak.
After about 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, only about 5 or 10% had germinated. So that's not very good.
90% of those pumpkins started about 3 weeks late, which was scary for this pumpkin picking family with 11 kids and 41 grandkids.
And to me, I think the biggest joy is just seeing my family being so happy out here and being together. But the second joy is passing that on to people who've not been in the country.
And now they know that they will be able to once again invite droves of guests out to the country. Thankfully, the hardy, deep-rooted crop doesn't need much water once it starts growing.
Oh, isn't he just absolutely beautiful?
It's pretty fortunate that with the little rain that we got, things are looking this good.
And the weather seemed to dry up, a pesky problem.
I did not see one squash beetle this year. Yep. No bugs.
But there are plenty of pumpkins in plenty of colors, shapes, and sizes, planted with love.
What is your hope with every pumpkin that they take home with them?
That it brings them some joy, and I think it brings families together. It does ours. Who would have thought that pumpkins would do all that?
Well, you know, doesn't that make you feel better? It doesn't make you feel like fall is not that far away. The cooler, you know, temperatures in the 90s, that would be so great, wouldn't it? Well, we'll be talking about that. Today was another scorcher. Right now we're at 99. We did manage to get up to 101 this afternoon. So that puts us in contention, folks. We're almost there. We have now had 55 days over 100 degrees. That's this year. And we're fast moving on 58 days set back in 2011. So I don't know, will we make it? It's real close because I think next week we may get a little break in this absolute horrendous heat. We'll talk about that and take a look at the tropics coming up in a moment. Keep thinking pumpkins, folks. That'll put your brain in the right frame of mind, make you think about the cooler fall, which can't be that far away. This afternoon, generally sunshine over our area. Houston area got a nice little round of afternoon little showers that popped up, and also we had some down in the Corpus Christi area, but nothing significant. What we're looking for next week is a big pattern change. In other words, the dome that's been over us for 4 months is going to move west. And then, of course, on the East Coast, we got to watch Hurricane Lee. 101 today, 104 in Gonzales, 102 up in Wharton. We're looking at high temperatures tomorrow. And, you know, we were talking about the ERCOT and the request to conserve energy. Because why? everybody's using their air conditioner right now, and we're right there between supply and demand. It's a very precarious place to be, because if it gets any hotter, and also these temperatures are now reflecting higher. I guess I could have put up the heat index map as moisture works back into the state. You know, when it's really hot and dry, it's hot in the daytime, but it actually cools at night. With the humidity, it doesn't really cool much at all. So we do have the heat advisories up again for tomorrow, and pretty much North Texas all the way down to the valley. So high heat and high temperatures as well going to be affecting us. We are halfway through the tropical storm season. We've already been through all of these. We're now at Lee. And the joke I was making earlier is that Lee's got the shortest name and is going to be the biggest problem. It is going to be a huge storm. As you can see right about there, it's still in the mid-Atlantic at 75 miles an hour. It was actually a hurricane as of today. But look at this. It goes from a 2 to a 4, possibly a 5 right about here. Now that's not but 200 miles from Puerto Rico, 200 miles from the Bahamas. So its path is going to be crucial. And we know it's going to turn eventually to the right, but will it be out in the mid-ocean, or will it touch land and then do that, or will it come straight on shore? The high pressure moves back to the west. Low pressure is in the Midwest. That's why we're going to see this turn. So there you see it, and this is would be on Wednesday of next week. A very significant storm here, a big scary one really. And the question is, where does it turn? It could either turn in the water, turn right offshore. They're still going to get some nasty weather here. I don't believe it will move on land directly. I don't think it's going to go this way. So it's going to be coming up right about here and then turning, but where it turns is going to be a major league factor on how bad things get along the East Coast. Is it Florida? Probably not. I think it's more North Carolina to New England. Pretty broad swath there, but it's something that we're going to have to watch very carefully, because, you know, you think, well, it's in North Carolina. What do we care? Well, we got family. We got students in schools, and then we've got supplies that come back and forth, you know, and we need to make sure that they're okay. We are looking at tomorrow morning, 80 degrees as a low temperature for Port Lavaca, getting up to 98, still on the hot, steamy side. For Cuero, we're getting up to 102, but the heat will start to break a little bit by the time we get to Saturday, and you can see that we start picking up a slight chance of rain, and I'm so looking forward to having a day with only 90 degrees next Wednesday. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Don.
Thank you, Mac. And Sports Director Gino Perez is here with a Bailey Zampi update. We always like those, Gino.
Yeah, the latest is that he's going to have some more competition at the QB spot in New England. That and more after the break. At Crossroads, the Industrial Cobras are coming off a big win over a team that it had not beaten in recent years past. The Cobras needed every second in Friday's game to get past the team that dominated them last season. Head coach for the Cobras, Craig Nairn, said the team is dealing with a few injuries, but had some big athletes step up. His game plan for this week is to take what the defense gives them and to be balanced in their attack.
You know, anytime you can beat a team like Shiner, it's always going to be a big win. You know, our kids worked hard and they showed up and they finished the game the way they needed to come out on top and hopefully get us a little momentum going into bowling. You know, bowling's another good program that we got on our schedule, and like I said, we got our work cut out for us when we play those guys too.
The Cobras are 1-1 on the year with an upcoming game against the Bowling Bulldogs on Friday, which are undefeated. The Bulldogs are 2-0 with wins against Palacios and winning 21-7 in that one, and then beating Hempstead last week 50-9. The Cobras are looking to have a winning record for the first time this year after Friday. In NFL news, the former Victoria East quarterback who is in New England has more competition for the starting job. Recently, it was decided that former Alabama quarterback Mac Jones secured the starting spot under center for the Patriots, but there are a couple of athletes that are nipping at his heels for the spot of signal caller. The Patriots have Matt Corral on the 53-man roster, the former Carolina quarterback that is, after he was on waivers. Head coach for New England, Bill Belichick, said Zappe is a good, young, developing player, and there are many things to still consider at the quarterback position. Zappe is learning a new system under newly named offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien. Zappe has seen the field and is undefeated as a starter. The Patriots opened the year in a rematch of Super Bowl 52 when the Eagles beat the Pats 41-33. And speaking of NFL, the start of the season is one day away, with the defending champions taking on a team that is looking to shock the nation. The Kansas City Chiefs and quarterback Patrick Mahomes want to start the season off strong, but might be doing so without their biggest weapon in Travis Kelce, since he's dealing with a knee injury. The Lions, on the other hand, are coming off a 9-win season. The two open the 2023-24 NFL season with kickoff at 7:20 at Arrowhead tomorrow night. Now, if you missed the game last night between the Houston Astros and Texas Rangers, you missed a bit of a history from the star of the Stros. Second baseman Jose Altuve went yard in the top of the first inning, giving the Stros the early lead, but he was not done yet. In the second, Altuve said, "If I can do it once, I can do it twice," and he hits one over the center field wall, this time putting the lead at 4 for the blue and orange. The icing on the cake came in the third inning, when Altuve would go back up the middle for the Rangers, over the Rangers wall and all their heads, as he had 3 home runs on the night. He has 15 all year, and his 4 consecutive at-bats, he had one from the night before. He tied the MLB record with 5 home runs in a 2-game span, and the Astros and Rangers play again tonight at 7:05. Not sure if we'll see a hot bat from Altuve, quite as hot as yesterday, but I'm sure he'll still have a good outing. But that's your sports done. Back to you.
All right, Gino, thank you. And we're back in a moment. After not playing basketball for decades, a 75-year-old man's playing pickup hoops games twice a week. Tonight, a Virginia man in his 70s getting back on the hardwood playing basketball, a sport he excelled in decades ago. Before the sun rises, Bob Emery plays pickup basketball twice a week. Bob is 75 years old. He played college ball at UC Santa Barbara. Back in the late 60s, the 6'3" shooting guard played against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at powerful UCLA. Bob and his wife moved from California to Charlottesville, Virginia 3 decades ago. He found this group of guys to play pickup ball with after not playing for decades. That was him in 1967, and now at 75, he's still playing the hoops.
I think he got the goggles from Kareem.
Maybe. Maybe. Fortunately for him, though, that Kareem didn't autograph them on the front. Otherwise, he couldn't use them. He wouldn't know.
Amazing that his knees are in still good shape.
Well, he's got them wrapped up.
Yeah, of course, you got to be very careful.
There, but he got them wrapped up.
Okay, we're under an ERCOT conservation alert, and it's still going to be humid tonight.
Yeah, we got 2 or 3 more days of this really hot, humid stuff, but there's a little hope on the horizon, folks. As you can see, we're looking at 102, and the heat index up there at about 110. So, yeah, try and stay cool next couple of days. But over the weekend, high pressure is moving away, giving us a chance at some showers and a high temperature of only 90 degrees.
I like the sound of that.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Mac, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now at 10. Have a good one, everybody.